always make sure that you're using the latest version of the Health Underwriting Guide. They do make changes from time to time, and you may have missed the announcement or the webinar where they disclose that very important fact. Here's where to go to find out if you're always looking at the most current underwriting guide. Know your underwriting guide and how to search it for conditions. Depending on your PDF writer, you probably have a search bar like you see in the lower left corner of this one. For example, you might type in the word diabetes, and the first field it will show you that it's type 1 is a declined unacceptable condition. So no sense in going any further with your Philadelphia American application. But speaking of diabetes, if a person is a type 1, yes, they're declined, unless, of course, they have the guaranteed issue version. But as you can see, you can also scroll to the next time diabetes is found in the underwriting guide, and you'll see that although a type 1 is a decline, a type 2 is acceptable. You just have to put a 2-point rating. And that leads us to our next tip, which is that when you run a quote for any health condition that has a rating, for example, we'll use diabetes in this example, and we put our 2 points on there as you see. So that's the 2 points that you found in the rating guide. When you run that quote, and we'll just go with our traditional Health Saver Plus Gold 3 units, $10,000 deductible, $1 million, put a $10,000 critical illness rider, and we'll always do the enhanced accident 2 units and answer yes to the enhancement part. And then, of course, we've got to put the specified disease plan. And in this case, we're going to do the $100,000 deductible, and we're going to do $500,000 because it's not much difference in the premium. And that's the best fit. And you look at the premium, you can see that with this rating, it's $533. That includes that 2-point rating. But here's the tip. When you get ready to enroll it, look what happens to the premium. It's no longer that higher rated number. It's dropped down to $442. So why is that? Well, here's why. When you go through the application and you select no to all your various questions, and I won't bore you going through all of these, we'll skip down to the one where the question pertains to diabetes, and we'll answer the questions that have the red asterisk by it. For example, surgery and the medicine necessary to be taken as metformin. We'll put those in there. But then look at the top. The premium goes back to $533, the rated premium. Tip number 7. Did you know that with Philadelphia American, you can actually have a spouse with the same gender? So you notice here the primary is a female. That's why you select the gender, because it can be male or female. And this is where you choose the spousing's nicotine usage or not. It's that simple. Tip number 6. With Philadelphia American, you don't actually have to have a United States citizen, but you do need to have a residence in the United States. This might be the biggest tip of the day. When you've completed the application process on the first page and you're ready to take their banking information, and you get down to the bottom of the page right here where you see continue, stop. Don't do another thing until you hit that save button, the little green button over there. Do it, save it, and then hit the continue button. I can tell you all the reasons why from the painful lessons that I learned the hard way, or you can just take my word for it. Do it. You're welcome. Tip number 4. The first thing I do when I'm taking an application, or the very first question once I've begun the application process, in fact, it's usually a trial close, I will ask the client, when would you like to make this effective? And I'll change the date to on the top right. But then the next thing I do is I go to agent notes and I will put draft on the effective date. If you don't do that, their account would be drafted immediately upon approval. I mean, it might not be so terrible if a policy is to be effective right away, but if you take an application to be effective at the end of the month and it's early in the month, they won't appreciate being drafted that soon. They will always be drafted right away, any application fees or policy fees, but the actual premium for the first month's premium, put that off until the effective date. Your client will be much happier if you do that. And this is how you do it. You have to review each one of the policies by selecting them as you see here. Notice how they turn green to blue? If they're still green, you can't go any further. This is at the tail end of the process after you've already gotten their banking information and you're about ready to submit. And tip number 2, since there's tip number 2, I might even give you 2 tips on this one, 2 for 1. When you get down to the very end of the application process and it asks you where do you want the policy sent to, agent or the insured, for heaven's sakes, make sure you pick the insured. Otherwise, you're going to receive a big paper policy in the mail to yourself, and then you've got to turn around and mail it to the insured. Not only is that obviously more time consuming, but it's going to cost you some postage and time and effort. Just trust me. Make sure that you have the insured selected. Okay, this is a little bonus since it's number 2. I'm going to save the big one for number 1. The bonus tip in number 2, the twofer, is if you're the only agent involved, you don't have to fool with the line on there where it says agent percentage and all that. You're the only agent. That down at the bottom where it says, can you put in another writing agent's number and what percent? That's if you're sharing your commissions with someone. For example, someone gave you a referral. Now, get ready for the big one.
Your lesson assignment is shown here. Please email Daryl your answers, which lets him know you are serious about your career as a professional health insurance agent.